What's up, everybody? Welcome to Broad Horizons podcast, the podcast where we break life down to y'all, life skills, life, lessons, all that good stuff, and our experiences. I'm one of your hosts, Chantel Gillette.
And I'm James. How's everyone doing? We
We
have a
got,
special guest.
yeah,
Would
go
you
ahead.
like to? We have a special guest for you guys today. We wanted to switch things up, and we got Shadow Weirdo.
What's up? What's up? How y'all doing?
It's good. How y'all feeling this week? How y'all weeks going?
We going pretty good, you know what I mean? Like living life.
For that.
Week is going pretty good. I remember last episode I was coming down with the cold and everything. This week I've been getting myself back. I feel better now. I feel jolly. You feel me? Yeah.
We here. My week was pretty good as well. Pretty solid week, just sticking to the root of things and uh sticking to it, staying on top of things. I know y'all both actually just dropped some new pieces. Shy, what was that like for you, that the album experience and getting that out?
That's a crazy story. So I think I had a conversation with you about, you know what I mean, a little crazy breakup I had. I ain't finna get into that, you know what I mean? But that kind of put me into a space of deep meditation for like 5 or 6 months. And then from that, you know what I mean, the album pretty much made itself. And it was like a crazy experience for real, because I really couldn't stop writing. I couldn't stop recording, you know what I mean? And then like me learning how to really engineer my stuff myself, you know what I'm saying? Just like being able to put it out is like, it's amazing. Like I can't really describe it.
What is that feeling like? Well, for you, James, what's that feeling like of actually like dropping a piece? Because we just letting the viewers know, man, we got two artists on here, two musicians that put in the work like overtime to really put the time in for they music and they work. So what is that experience like for you, actually dropping a piece and seeing the reactions and everything from everybody?
Oh man, it was huge. I think the last time I dropped was like about like 3 months ago. I think it was New Year's Eve is when I dropped my album. So it's been a while. So people were very excited to see my first single drop in a long time. I was excited. A little nervous because, I wasn't sure if it was gonna do well. It's been a couple of months where I've just been like laying low and all of that, but
Yeah,
seems to be doing pretty well. I'm getting the right amount of support. Feeling great about
that's what's up. Anything shy? What's that like for
it.
you?
For me, like dropping an album has like always been my dream, you know what I mean? Like, I've written about 6 albums since the time I turned 15, but none of them really, to me, met my standard of, you know what I mean, my introduction to the world, you know what I mean, who I as an artist, who I am as a person, except for like this album. You know what I'm saying? Like to put that out was like an amazing feeling. And the response that I got back, because I was doing songs from the album at my performances before like any of it was out, just to, like test the waters. And just the response I get from people just from making like an album solely about love is like it's crazy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, that's real. Being that the album is about love, like I'm curious, what is your definition of love? Like, what do you really consider love to be?
I see it as viewing another entity as an extension of yourself. You know what I mean? Like that's what I see it as.
Explain that.
Meaning like you wouldn't do such things to yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So you wouldn't do that to that person because you see them as a part of you. You know what I'm saying? Like
I feel that.
I
I feel
love that.
we kind of got into that a little bit on the last episode, just about treating others the way you want to be, treated or loved on, and that really makes sense to that. Like that really makes sense to just loving on them the way you would want to be loved on, or how you would want somebody to love on you.
exactly. And if that feeling isn't reciprocated, let it go.
That's a fact.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because if it ain't for you, trust me, you don't know. You don't know.
So I see
Look,
love.
everybody know at this point, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you got the whole album. Got you.
How many tracks was on the album? I heard a couple of tracks and everything. Had to be prepared walking into this.
I feel you. There's 11 tracks in total. The first one starts off as a poem because that was part of my like meditation, just like rehabilitation of myself, was writing poetry before I started writing songs again. And there's 9 songs after that, and then like a dedication / a little outro groove. It's like the smoothest outro to any album you've ever heard anywhere, and I'll stamp that. I'll stand by it. I'll turn to Denzel Washington. I stand by it. I'll guarantee. This the album right here.
Yeah, I hope with the poem at the beginning. I like that. If I could actually play it, y'all, real quick. I got it on here.
Oh yeah, definitely play that.
Do that.
As I fade into my cerebral garden that breeds many flowers I recognize to be thoughts, I find this one in particular to be distinguished and set apart. Despite the uniqueness of its petals and stem, the occurrence of its sightings happen more and more often. An intriguing thing indeed. It's almost as if this peculiar flower is following me. As it takes over the better part of the garden, it becomes all I see. But as to what this flower even is, remains a mystery to me. It grows like a weed, yet doesn't choke its neighbors. It just sits there and spreads seeds. More beautiful than a rose, a comforting palette of colors covers its lovely, intricate folds. Not a single thorn to be seen. The nature of this growing army of flowers is bewildering to me. Eventually, my curiosity gets the better of me, and I touch the flower, but make sure to do so delicately. As I do, bursts of inspiration and memories pass through, and a feeling settles inside that I know in fact to be true. That every one of these flowers represents my love for you, and one is planted every time I think of you.
I like that.
That's how the dance.
Transition into the actual the music of it, but
they were written totally separate. That's a coincidence. That's the craziest part of it all. When I realized that they went together like that, I was like, yo.
That's how it happens. Yeah. And it's kind of scary because everything starts to fall piece by piece together, and you're like,
puzzle, yo. It's wild.
I love that. I know in there a little bit you talked about being able to just actually express your feelings for them after so long. Like your deep, I think it was something like your deepest regret was never.
Oh yeah, Little Did You Know. Yeah, that song. Yeah. My main regret, my true sorrow, is not expressing my love for you. The moment I knew it was true. Oh, that part right there. That's.
Why do y'all think it's so hard to, actually express your feelings when you do have like feelings for somebody, or just in general when it comes to expressing your feelings? Why do y'all think that's such a difficult thing for us to do as humans?
Because people are afraid of change. You know what I mean? Like just to lay the basics down, people are afraid of change, whether that change be positive or negative. You know what I'm saying? Like the anxiety that comes from doing something that you know will change something. You know what I'm saying? That anxiety will stop a lot of people dead in their tracks if it's a situation they actually invested in it. Because a lot of the times we find people that just smooth talkers, they're not emotionally invested in anything, so they don't care how it turns out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
that's a fact.
I feel that. I feel like people, I think it's hard to explain the feelings because, people are naturally afraid of rejection as well,
Mm.
That's I think that's number one fear, for not number one fear, but it's the most common fear within everybody. The fear, not fear of drowning or heights, but rejection. It's, if I like somebody, if I have feelings for this person, I tell them. It depends on the situation, because I could just see you walking and I'm like, damn, you fine. Like, I gotta holler at that. You feel me? But like, if it's a friend that, I gradually started gaining feelings for, like, damn, I wouldn't want to ruin a good friendship, just for a relationship not to work out.
Yeah. What about that? Like, really being able to, how do I word it? Like, keeping your composure, I guess, when it comes to having that kind of self-discipline that like, all right, this is a friend, and not, or even just being able to control yourself when it comes to like any types of relationships and just not being like, not like thinking with the correct head, you know what I'm saying? Like just thinking morally and what's really right for you and what's like
But
really,
the thing is, like, right, and I'm just gonna speak just from my situation.
yeah,
That's how I was coming for like a minute, like a decent minute. I'm just like, you know what I mean? Just gotta keep thinking what they are. But at the same time, what you're doing is, yeah, you're letting your mind block what your heart really wants to say. You know what I'm saying? My thing is really and truly, ain't no shame in the fact that you actually care about somebody. You know what I'm saying? If anything, really and truly, that should motivate you more because you actually do care about this person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand that, you know what I mean? Sometimes those boundaries are set, which is true. But at the same time, if you don't express it in some way, shape, or form, that shit is going to bottle up and catch you slipping one day.
It will. And you'll fall
It's
dead
like
right in its tracks. Yeah.
every single emotion can do that. It's not everybody always assumes it's anger that does that. It's not just anger. It's every last one of you. If you try to
yeah,
bottle it up, you are human. You are meant to flow. Like try to put it in the bottle, right? But emotions are constantly swirling around and moving. Therefore, it's going to create water and air pressure, and the top of this bottle is going to pow. Like,
yeah. I think that goes back to what you were saying, James, just about that rejection. Like nobody really wants to be rejected or let down, especially if you do go in, spill your feelings out. But then it's like, what's the worst that could happen? Like they don't like you back. I mean, it's different, I guess, when it's like a friend, because then you messing with that relationship. But other than that, it's like, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a can we go back to that quote, because something caught my attention. You had said something about bewilderment, and then you said your curiosity took over. Do you remember that line?
in the poem.
Yeah.
Oh, so in that line, I'm just talking about like, because I see my own thought process as a garden. Like I was really writing about my meditation. And this one thought kept running through my mind, and I'm like, for some reason, my mind is telling me not to touch it, but it's popping up more and more and more every time I go into meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And so, eventually you're curious, you're gonna try to touch it, just like having a repressed memory, repressed feelings are the exact same way. You know what I'm saying? So it's like once you open that folder, it's like, it's like the weirdest. And I call it a folder because folders hold like multiple items.
Right.
But it's like, I don't know, it's hard to explain fully.
This is understandable. I get that. I get those things when I'm trying to like describe music, my lyrics and everything, but only you get it, because you get it. You get it.
Yeah, exactly.
You probably get it too.
I feel like everybody has a different perspective, like regardless of what it is. Like even if you have a certain message that you was trying to portray when putting it out, I feel like everybody is going to perceive it a little bit differently. They're going to perceive it through their lens of what they know, what they've seen or experienced. So
That's
even
the
if you
beauty of
do
art.
say it again.
I said that's the beauty of art.
Yeah, yeah. Anything like art, yeah, art. Any forms of, a lot of things can fall under that art category, but just creating.
Did you know cooking falls under the category of art?
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that.
And
I've definitely had some Picasso meals in my day.
You had said something along the lines of the lens, the perception of their lens or everything. What do you think of people who tend to wear was it rose colored glasses or rose colored shades, or that saying, right?
I've been that person.
Nah, I
I know
don't.
that saying very well.
All right, hold on. Let me. If you want to say something, Shy, go ahead. But I'm gonna look up the meaning so I can be.
I know the exact quote you're talking about. That's what I'm saying. I've been that person. When you look at somebody through rose-colored lenses, all the red flags simply look like flags. That's from BoJack Horseman.
Mm.
Yeah,
one of the best animated shows to ever exist.
When you look at somebody, repeat it for me. Repeat it.
When you look at somebody through rose-colored lenses,
Yeah.
all the red flags just look like flags.
I see that as like, how do you take that? Well, I think you still looking for the quote.
I mean, the quote is rose-colored glasses, but the way I take it is like, you ever like saw them advertisements for like the shades, you put it on and everything is like hearts for every light that you look at.
Yeah.
I think when you put those shades on, it just makes everything look prettier than normal. But if you want to apply that to real sense, is exactly what it is. You're just trying to make up. You're trying, like what Shai said, red flags don't look red. They everything you just letting stuff slide. I wouldn't say slide, but like, oh, that was supposed to happen. It's one thing for being like realistic, but I think it was just being we talked about it last week about just looking only at the positives, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess if you do it to like an exaggerated extent, like, yeah, nah. I mean, when something's clearly wrong, you're like, nah. You just, hey, yeah, nah, we're fine. Like the whole building is going down. You're like, no, we're fine. We're fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Nah, my thing is eventually at some point you gotta take them glasses off.
Yeah.
At some point they either gonna get knocked off or you gonna take them off.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for you, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know we started off with the music, but who is Shai? Like, aside from, you know, what we see, who is Shai?
Shy is that weird kid that was always singing in the back of the classroom. That's a Shy. To this day, that's still how I am. Like, I don't really be around people that much to this day. You know what I mean? Like, even though I'm known, I'm still introverted. Like, I'll be at a function I'm supposed to perform at. And besides networking for business purposes, as soon as I'm just around people, I'll leave and I'll be outside.
Yeah.
Until it's my time to come in and get on stage. Then I still got that little awkwardness when I get off stage, and it's like people just because like deep down, really and truly, is like I want to, like, this is what I do, but at the same time, to me, nothing beats sitting at home listening to Motown records. Like that's still who I am in my core. Like
how is the stage scene for you? Because I have yet to get on the stage and perform and do live performances. So how has that been, you know, like from going from studio or, but how do you record? First of all, let's get there. You got an at-home studio?
I record right here with my baby. This is a Shure 55 SH Super Series, brand spanking new. You know what I mean? That's my little baby right there. You're actually in my studio right now. This is my studio.
Love it.
I live in my studio.
We in my studio too right now. But how is you know, going from studio to stage? Like, how is that transition for you? And how long have you been doing live performances?
To me, it was always my like lifelong dream to get on the stage. It wasn't really a transition to me. Like I knew I wanted to do music at 3 years old. This is how I've always been. You know what I'm saying? I started recording when I was 12, and then I think I was 15. I performed at a cannabis festival. And that was like the best feeling I'd ever had. From that day, I was just hooked. So after that, I would try to book as many shows as I could. No manager, no nothing. Just me on Facebook looking for promoters that are booking underground artists. And I broke into the Philly scene just like that. You know what I mean? And since then, you know, I mean, that's what I live for. I live for my next opportunity. Just because that feeling when I'm on stage, it's like that feeling that people understand, that they don't just understand me, they with me. Like that's the feeling I'm not, to this day, I'm still not used to. But it's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? When people appreciate what you're saying and they want to hear what you have to say. Like that's, because trust me, like a lot of conversations, because I'll get deep. You know, I'll get real deep to the point where people are just like, all right, man. But it's like if I put it into a song form factor and I get on stage, as long as some people can groove with, like, it's such a beautiful thing. Like it's a drug, really and truly. That's just a drug. Like I remember when I was like 16, 17, around that time, me and my big bro, we opened up for Famous Dex. Like a year after that, I opened up for Young Swag from Wild 'N Out. So I was like in that type of a turn up scene. I wasn't quite making my conscious music like that no more. I was just really trying to keep up with everybody, which eventually I figured was the wrong thing to do. You know what I mean? Because who can be you but you? But that feeling, it's not even the feeling of when you're on stage. I mean, that is a wonderful feeling, but it's when you get off. Because if you really did a good set, like me personally, I know if I'm performing somewhere, I'm going to be either the top 1 or 2 performance in your mind that night, guaranteed. You know what I mean? Because I practice for it, I rehearse for it, like I live for it. Like that's my goal at the end of the night. I want you to forget everybody else you saw tonight. But it's the moment right after that, like, oh, thank you. Put the mic back, you walking back. And I'm not even gonna lie, like when I was like 17, 18, I was still young-minded, like very young-minded, you know what I'm saying? So I hop off that stage, it's like, any shorty in here I want, I can have. No cap. And that's really the vibe if you really killed it that night. But it's an addicting feeling, yo. Like I don't want to say it's unhealthy, but as long as you have the right mindset approaching that, you'll be perfectly fine. Like me nowadays, I just want the respect. I don't even want the whole, oh yeah, I'm gonna be the man. I'm gonna turn this club out tonight. Like I'm not even, because I did that so much. Like when people see me, they be like, oh, you're so mature for your age. Like it's because I've been like just living beyond my years since I was a young kid. Like all that extraness, I'm good. I'm partied out.
You go like you partied out. How old you, like 21?
Yeah, exactly, right?
You got more time to go. But what
Nah,
it like?
you remember me when I was a teenager. I was wild.
But being able to like humble yourself, like I know you speaking about coming off a stage and having that high, or like being up there and everybody is like listening to you and rooting for you. Like, how are you able to just and being around some of those bigger faces that you said, being able to just humble yourself? Is it something that happened that was like, all right, I gotta chill a little bit, or is it just like over time you feel like you just kind of
Well, the thing is, with every high, you come down. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So like maybe after like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, you know what I mean? I'll do whatever I want to do, and I'm just chilling. Because at the core of me, you know what I mean? I just want to network with other musicians. Like that's where I feel comfortable. Is in the music world. When I'm talking to regular people, that's when I feel like a weirdo. That's when I feel strange because they don't live in my world. Like for me, music is my world, so I feel totally comfortable. That's why actually where I am the most humble, because I understand that even though I might be the best performer in the room, I might not be the best lyricist in the room. I might not be the best, you know what I mean, business person in the room. So me, like on stage is where I boast and brag, but every other aspect of music, I'm sitting there, I'm watching, and I'm listening. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just soaking up all the information. So that humbleness is always like the humble beast is the only thing I can call it. Like you beast for a minute, but at the core of you, you still humble.
Yeah.
Some people ain't even really humble beasts. They just think they're a beast, and there's nothing humble about them. Like that's defining 80% of the rap cats I see these days. That's part of the reason why I be humble too, because I understand who I'm in the midst with. A lot of them are not musicians; they're simply gangsters trying to escape their lifestyles, and I understand that and I respect that. But at the same time, that also means there's a line you can't cross with cats you don't know in the city you're not from. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to have some form of humbleness to you if you are to be respected in the music world, first and foremost. And if you are to survive certain nights where there's killers in the audience, you don't want to just be flexing on everybody. Yeah. Like, that's a good way to get got, for real, for real. Like me, I stick to myself. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's big being able to, just what you were saying, of being able to realize your strengths and your weaknesses. Like, this is where I'm strong at, this is where I'm weak at, and where I'm weak, I'm gonna sit back and observe. I'm gonna take in, what's going on around me. I don't gotta feel like I'm the biggest in every section. It's this quote that's like, if you're the smartest one in the room, then
you're in the wrong room.
You're in the wrong rooms. You
yeah.
know? So it's like, what are you really getting out of that from always being the top or always being the best one here, not having really nothing to learn from where you at? Like, what's the point of that?
The point is so that they don't feel insecure.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't handle that insecure feeling, but that's what's going to push you to be great. When you're so afraid of messing up, you have no choice but to be perfect in almost everything you try to do. You know what I'm saying? Because you're afraid of messing up. If you're in a room where you feel like, okay, even if I mess up, I'm still great. You already messed up. You slipping.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. And the thing is, like, okay, let's take the rapper Cordae, for instance, right? Like, I'm a fan of Cordae from his underground days before he was with YBN.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like the new album simply for the fact that it doesn't have that same down-to-earthness as the Lost Boy album did. And the reason for that is he started drinking his own Kool-Aid. You know what I'm saying? Like, the minute you start to drink your own soup, you become food. You dig what I'm saying?
What do you mean he started to drink his own soup, his own Kool-Aid?
Meaning, so that album was nowhere near as personal or as enlightening. That album, he was more just like braggadocious throughout the album, just bragging about all the different things he's attained. But at the same time, it's like you're respected as kind of sort of a teacher in hip hop. That's the way you've established yourself.
Right.
But now, because you're drinking your hype and you're now spitting out that hype, you know what I'm saying? People didn't feel that album as much. Like, you gotta humble yourself whenever you create a project, because no matter how good you're doing in life, you need to relate to that person that's doing horrible in life. That's the real key to it. No matter how good you're doing, you need to still be relatable to that person that's at the bottom. Because once a person feels like, you know what, we have nothing in common, I can never be you. You've lost a listener, because really truly every listener that's listening to music, they're not just listening for music, they're listening to hopefully gain a friend in some way, shape, or form that they might not have an actual relationship with in real life, but because your music is so personal, they feel like they've gained a friend.
What about did you have something to say, James?
I did.
Go ahead.
I'm curious to see what you have to say.
When you do start to, do new things though, how are you supposed to manage that? It's like, all right, because he is like to a point where he's getting bigger now, even aside from music, when you do start to level up, do you think it's important to still like, well, to what you were saying, yes, it's still important to be able to relate, but once your story starts to change, you are starting to do bigger things, or you are starting to, get more notoriety and different things like that. How do you stay relatable when it may be like, what I was relating to y'all before is not the same as what I'm doing now?
Well, the thing is, that's where the term "never forget where you came from," you know what I mean? That's where that comes in. Because, yeah, you're in a totally different space now. You probably can't be in the hood all day. You probably can't just do what you used to do all day. But all those life experiences that you have, I guarantee you haven't talked about them all yet.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, until you really express that all. Because that's why you climbed the mountaintop in the first place. You climbed the mountaintop in order to be heard. But once you get to that mountaintop, people start to brag about the mountaintop versus remembering what they actually really started the climb for, to tell the people. You know what I'm saying?
I see how you say that, and I agree with you. There are a lot of rappers out here that do brag and everything, but I'm not necessarily sure if Cordae was one of those people. Yes, he did start talking about cars, chains, blah blah blah, but he still kept his words, like his lyrics, up in that album. And
I'm not talking about like his lyrical fidelity. I'm just talking
yeah.
about like the how personal the Lost Boy
was. 100%.
Because you could tell that was about his life's journey. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. But do you fuck with J. Cole?
Yeah, absolutely. I see Cordae as
a mini
this
J.
era's
Cole.
J. Cole.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I feel that.
My thing is, even J. Cole admits that he fell into a trap of making commercialized music, just trying to get something out, you know what I mean, shake the room.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, eventually he doubled back to what he originally came out doing.
Did.
And me being a fan of Cordae when he first came out, before YBN, you know what I'm saying? I understand what his original style was. So I understand that eventually he may or may not go back to doing what his original style was.
But I feel like that's never changed though. You know, he as was said, you know, he's growing, he's experiencing new things, you know, and some people they look at these songs as motivation. So when Rick Ross, he said when he flashes his chain, Meek Mill, they flash their chains on social media, and Soldier Boy, it doesn't matter. A lot of times you hear them say motivation, motivation. You feel me? They not flashing their chains to say, "Oh, I'm bigger than you. I'm sitting all the way up here while you down here." Nah, they want you to be motivated. Like if you want what I got, come and get it. And it's not like to say like to like shut you down or anything. But you know, I do feel like Corday is very humble. And what you know from his last album, I don't think he really like started saying that to like shit on niggas. You feel me? I really think he just, you know, he just he just speaking his new reality. But I feel like nothing has changed. His humbleness hasn't changed, and I feel like he's not trying to stay away from relating to the people. You know, I honestly feel like he was trying to just trying to get a buzz around his name this album around. Yes, I do feel like because the types of features he had on this album is kind of he had pretty big names and everything, but you know, but I don't necessarily think that's always the case. That you know they saying okay,
Yeah, like, I agree with you. He didn't switch all the way, and I do give him credit for that. But at the same time, you could tell what was lacking in his album.
mm-hmm.
And the reason why this album, quite frankly, didn't do as well as The Lost Boy is because of that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because like your album is your introduction to who you are. You know what I'm saying? So the essence of whatever is in that first album needs to be present in every project you release afterwards.
Right.
And that's what people don't seem to understand. They view it all as like separate entities. No, because when people go back and look at your discography, they're gonna do it as a series of your albums. So you got to understand that, okay, yeah, I can make turn up music, but at the same time, I still got to give them something that reminds them of why they loved the first album. You know what I'm saying? Like there's got to be something in there that is reminiscent of the last one, but showcases why this album is actually better than the last one. Because my thing is, had he done a couple more personal tracks, you know what I'm saying? It would have been better than Lost Boy. Like I'm not taking that away from him. You know what I'm saying? But it's that one element, and for lack of a better word, let's call it soul.
Mm-hmm.
That was missing from that project.
Yeah,
that's like the one thing. And to me, raised on soul music, you know what I mean? And for me, that's make or break. Like you got to put your heart and your soul into absolutely everything you do. Like it's hard for me to really explain it, because my thing is like even with like gangster music, you know what I'm saying? Like there's stuff like drill music, but then there's stuff that's like, you know what I mean, how the Ghetto Boys did Mind Playing Tricks on Me, where it was really showcasing, you know what I mean, the mental and spiritual side of that lifestyle, which is something I've seen happen to people in my family. You know what I mean? Like that's where the relatability comes into, because in hip hop you do have this wall of fabrication that we use as our imagination to create bars. You know what I'm saying? It's a part of hip hop, but at the same time, it has to be grounded in something. And so, just bar after bar after bar with nothing to really ground it. You know what I mean? That works for some people, and for some people, it doesn't. It all depends on how you were introduced. Like, Lil Wayne is the king of making those type of bars. But because he was introduced to doing that, nobody expects less or more from him. You know what I'm saying? Corday introduced himself more on the conscious tip. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So from that standpoint, when his fans look forward to that next album, they're looking for, you know what I mean, some of that consciousness on there.
So what if his approach was to just basically branch out to broaden his audience? You know, he could come back next album and do exactly what the original audience, you know,
Well, the thing is, he already did that though. During his whole YBN stretch. Like, I paid attention. That's exactly what he was doing with songs like Kung Fu, Scottie Pippen, those types of songs. He was doing that to broaden his scope, to get the people who normally don't listen to conscious rappers to listen to him. And it worked, because he has amazing wordplay and amazing lyricism. You know what I'm saying? It's just the fact that when he dropped this last album, because he did all that leading up to the Lost Boy. He did all those hype tracks so people would listen to Lost Boy. Because I guarantee you, he was working on Lost Boy the whole time he was promoting those few songs. I guarantee that. So that's a brilliant strategy. But the thing is, after you put out Lost Boy, after you do all that, what's the next step? And I think that's where he misstepped. You know what I'm saying? Like, his plan was absolutely perfect from that point on. But at the same time, there's that saying, everybody got a plan until they get hit in the face.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So once things totally changed after he dropped Lost Boy, like, he was already starting to get really popping around the time, like Alaska and all that was out. You know what I'm saying? I think Kung Fu was actually on a Puma commercial. You know what I'm saying? So he was already starting to get popping. But Lost Boy exploded. And I think, it won a couple Grammys too. Yeah. So from that point, when it does better than you expect it to do, what do you do from there? That puts a lot of pressure on the individual. So I don't necessarily blame him for trying to keep the new audience he had just created for himself. I don't blame him for that. It's just that while doing so, you can't neglect your old audience either. You got to be able to juggle them both if you're going to try to entertain them both.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of a weird situation to put yourself in, which is why I can't judge him for how he handled it. But at the same time, like, I'm not even saying this to criticize him. I hope one day he sees this, you know what I mean, just as advice, not even criticism. Because I feel like you should never really criticize somebody's art. You could always advise somebody, but hey, man, just don't forget this. You know what I mean? If it's something that's already a part of their palette.
Right.
Like, let's say an artist has a palette of paint in front of them, and has a signature of using purple for a certain thing, and there's no purple on the canvas. He's about to unveil it to the world. It would not be wrong for somebody to tap him on the shoulder and be like, hey, you forgot your signature. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I fuck with that last point. That was valid. I definitely agree with that. And just to kind of wrap in what both of y'all said, I think it's important to have both. You know, to be able to realize and understand where you came from and always relate to that because that's you at core. But then still, like, being able to put on and motivate and show who you are, especially when it comes to like music or anything that you're doing for real. Like, people want to see that lifestyle. You know, people want to see the flashy stuff. Like, I feel like that's what really catches people's attention. But for y'all, both question for both of y'all. What's something, because I know you spoke of kind of things that you did things that you did when you were younger, and now seeing them a little bit differently now. What's one thing that y'all thought was maybe cool when you were younger that now you look at it and it's like, like this really not it? Fighting?
Yeah.
Talk to me.
So I was always a fighter type of a kid, you know what I mean, growing up, because like I was the weird kid. So unfortunately I got put in situations where I had to fight. But eventually I kind of ended up liking fighting. Like, I was even in Kung Fu training and all that, you know what I'm saying? But like around the age of 15, you know what I mean? Like, the first person that I knew that was my age died. I'm like, this ain't fun no more, yo, because can't nobody take a loss. Like, we get into that age where kids are turning into savages. You know what I'm saying? Like, the same thing you could probably like do last year. You can't try that with them now because they'll straight pop you. Yeah. So it's like, me understanding that, I kind of like fell back a little bit and withdrew because I'm just like, yeah, I'm not gonna die over nothing stupid. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna learn how to control these anger issues because I'm not gonna end up, you know what I mean? Like, I got stuff I want to do in my life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I ain't got no time to. Nah.
I feel like it ain't even really like anything behind that. You know, it's like once you realize and just reacting to anger in general, I feel like a lot of the times it really doesn't solve anything. You know, it really doesn't go nowhere. Now it's like we both walking away just mad, you know, and instead of just taking a step back and like, all right, I'm gonna let you have this one, you know, or let's talk about this instead of just like jumping off rip, because a lot of
Yeah,
times,
that could save your life.
yeah, I feel like a lot of time is miscommunications. A lot of times when things go down and stuff happens, it's like somebody wasn't hearing something correctly, or somebody took something away that it really wasn't meant to come on, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that thing for you?
For me, something that what was the question again specifically?
Something that you thought was like cool when you were younger, but now you look at it and it's like, nah.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know. Growing up, I always stayed inside and everything. I was a homebody. I was raised to be a homebody, so I didn't really try new things. I didn't, I was basically, I wouldn't say I was basically taught, but I was convinced that everything new just wasn't good. So, you know, I don't think I can give you an answer for that because nothing's coming to mind.
I mean, I feel like that's kind of an answer. I kind of see like just both of y'all points, well, for me at least, kind of uh stepping out, I guess. I feel like it's something that now, when I was younger, it was like, yeah, this is cool to just be to yourself, or like to be to myself, and to like not really, you know, I guess put myself out there as much. But now looking back, it's like if you want to do certain things in life, you gotta be able to control yourself, right? When it comes to that anger piece, and you gotta be able to, step out and interact and convene with other people, and really just like put yourself out there. I feel like that's. I mean, it's not an exact answer, but I feel like that's definitely like.
Hey, it's better than what I had. Better than what I had.
Yeah.
Hey, if I have to give an answer, probably driving. I always thought driving would be cool, and I still like driving, but like I'm getting tired of driving. I used to drive.
Go ahead.
I used to do 16-hour shifts overtime. I told you about the security job that I had, but
Yeah.
just imagine being behind the wheel for 16 hours. It drives you insane. And you're not even going anywhere. You're driving like 5 miles per hour for the whole day.
It's circles.
Yeah.
I love a good ride though. Good ride in the car, clear your mind. Like,
Oh yeah.
that's love.
It'd
Man,
be the quiet car rides too sometimes.
yeah, yeah. Get into your head a little bit. Man, but I enjoyed this conversation, and Shai, thank you for coming on and talking to us, chopping it up with us for the day.
No problem, no problem.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for coming. We gotta chop it up more. Have you one thing before we leave, I'm sorry. Have you gotten into my music, sir?
Not yet. I gotta check you out. You follow me on Instagram, right?
Yes, I do. How did I discover you? I can't remember.
I'll probably put you on for real.
Did you? Because I think I've been following him before you mentioned him. So when you was like Shy the Weirdo, I was like, huh? That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
You used to do a bunch of Instagram lives, right?
Yeah, I used to be live on Instagram a lot. I used to be at parties a lot.
This man
like
be
a lot.
Yeah, for real.
I'll never know how people know me. Like
you really do be everywhere.
Yes, sir. But thank you for coming on this podcast, giving us a good time. We had a great discussion, honestly. Yeah. Very interesting.
Facts.
Yes, sir. Thank you everybody for tuning in this week. We will be back next week. I'm James.
I'm Chantel.
I'm Shy.
And this has been Broad Horizons. Peace out, everyone.
Love.